This is an incoming transmission from the Jersey Shore.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, powered by McLean Advisory Group. Today you'll hear some of the most important financial information and wealth-building techniques available anywhere.
Let's get this party started, huh?
Do you have a question for Scott and the team?
Am I on the air?
609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646.
We'll get that information to them by radio.
Now, Financial Insanity with Scott McLean.
It's a presidential election year, and today we're discussing how the election may affect the stock market. Regardless of who wins, the outcome will have an impact on both the overall economy and our individual finances. Scott is here to talk about some trends from the last 100 years and will give us some insight on what we should be concerned about when it comes to the election and our money. Good morning, Scott. And
Good morning.
Exciting times, and you know that it's on people's minds, the election, but also what does it mean for my pocket? What does it mean for the stock market?
It means don't watch TV.
Yeah.
For some of you, because you'll probably want to go to the nearest bar. It's just so convoluted. And then, of course, we don't want to lose friends because, at this time of life, we can't choose Republican or Democrat because we end up in a fight. And I just hate it, the times right now we're facing. Let's just all be lovers. Let's appreciate each other. And let's talk about a different subject. So I appreciate you bringing this up. Alex, you just pull this out of your tailpipe because people are talking about the presidency. And, I get these calls all the time. Scott, what should we do? Or I had an appointment just a few minutes ago when you're waiting for me out in the room. And they're saying, well, Scott, if the election goes the way we think it's going to go, we're moving to Canada. I've heard that from both damn sides. Stop the nonsense. I mean, yes, it might be in your heart, but you know what? America is the best place in the world. Yes, you might have Roosevelt, or you might have Eisenhower, you might have Hoover. Well, what did the markets do during that time as well? So we're going to talk about that, Alex. I'm glad you brought that up because for those people out there, if you need some help or maybe some guidance, what I've noticed so often is when it comes to this time of the elections, decisions being right now are very waned between both Republican and Democrat. The biggest thing I hear is the border, and it is a big deal because it will affect all of our money. So the next president, boy, girl, white, black, I don't care, but I hope they make some sound decision because it's going to eat our economy away from the inside out, and it's eating relationships from the inside out. So this is really important. When it comes to that, people, if you have questions, by the way, Alex, you mentioned that I should probably have people give me a call off the air at 609-488-4646. And the reason why is because, where do you invest? How do you invest? Are you investing for income or are you investing for growth? And I'm going to go over a quick scenario of the stock market, and then I'm going to go over the presidency. Who is the best president? Well, I don't know. But is it Democrats or Republican that win the race? And I think you're going to find it's such a slim margin that you should be focusing on something else. Is your money in the right hands? Is it protected? Like I was speaking to somebody about hiding their property or repositioning their property into an irrevocable trust. So in the event their lights go dim, they don't have to have their house or their assets eaten away by the nursing home. That's a better discussion, even though it's not a fun discussion, than guessing who the next nuthead is going to be, or the guy in the white or girl in the White House. So, Alex, go ahead.
Well, yeah, and in these trends, they are just trends, and so that's one thing to caution us of, like, hey, anything can happen. So that's why it's let's be wise to be prepared for anything, and obviously be willing to pivot if necessarily. But historically, Scott, most election years have actually seen positive returns in the stock market. Again, we can't say that we're going to predict that that's going to happen, but that's just been what we've seen traditionally.
Absolutely correct. I mean, you go back to my boyfriend in 1929, the stock market was rip-roaring. From 1921 to 1929, the market just sky was the limit. Hoover was in the White House, 43.6%, and that's 1928-29. Then the market took a real crap. And then, of course, Roosevelt jumped in, and he had it until 1932. The market dropped 8%. slowly came back 33%, again came down 9%, then it's up 19%. The only president of that many terms from 32 to 44, and then it went up 19%. But again, remember, the market dropped considerably from 1929 to 1932, and then the market came back. So the question is, how are you invested? Are you invested for the long run or the short run? And again, we have two different types of presidents. We have the Roosevelt and Truman back to back, followed by Eisenhower, who jumped in, and he had positive years as well. So you know what? It just depends. For those of us, I'm 65, almost 66 in December this year. And you think about, for those of you, when I first started voting, I don't know, Alex, were you around? But I don't think you're a twinkle in Dad's eyes. But Reagan jumped in the helm. And when Reagan jumped in 1980, the market dropped. It screamed back. And then no president touched the market. And so you had Republicans and Democrats up until Bush in 2000 had a negative 9%. Meanwhile, Clinton, he didn't touch the market, and he was up positive for those 4 years. And then Obama comes in right after the other Bush, and Obama had a negative 37% in 2008. You guys remember that? 2009, and it finally slowly came back. So again, it's the trends of the market. If you're thinking about trending your money, Alex, I would highly encourage you to call me, because history does repeat itself more often than not. And not understanding how you invest for the long run or the short run depends on where you allocate the money.
Yes. And if you do have questions, that number is 609-488-4646. Democrat, Republican, other, what is that going to mean? If anything, for my finances, Scott has the answers for you. 609-488-4646. Some other interesting notes here as we look at the trends. So average market returns tend to be higher when a Republican is elected president. But markets typically don't like one party to sweep the presidency in Congress, preferring checks and balances and the stability of divided government. I thought that was an interesting note as well. The market actually likes there to be a divided government as opposed to one side having all control.
And I agree. I totally agree. That's why when I hear people that are pro-Republican, I'm listening to them. And if they're pro-Democrat, everybody has something to say, right? Whether it's valuable or invaluable. I want to get stimulated because now I can make a decision. But again, I better make my decision not by leaning on other people's, but just I'm getting a feeling for what the market's doing. Right now, we have a hot market. We have inflation still going on. I think the interest rates are going to, as you watch interest rates during the year, what's the market doing? You're watching the payrolls. This is important. This is the president. He's making some decisions, or the Fed, they're making some decisions. So based on that, this is where the investor is able to look at those areas and say, you know what, we need to make a change. We need to make a move. Should we go into like the income field? Just a couple of years ago, this interest rates started shooting up. And if you had an income portfolio paying dividends and interest, you probably went down 20, 30%. But if you hang on and interest rates start going down, what happens? Those values are going straight up. So it cannot be a knee-jerk reaction. And this is why when people call us at 609-488-4646, when they call us at our number, they say, Scotty, where am I at? What do I do? Where should we go? Where do we invest? Well, before I answer that question, I've got to know the backdrop. When do you need the money? What's the purpose of the money? How much time do we have? So you might have 2 or 3 different portfolios. One is a cash portfolio. One might be a long-term portfolio. I want to live to age 80, but I still want to have a fun. And then maybe I want some dividends and interest to pay my required minimum distribution. Give me a call. If you're listening right now, if you're listening for the first time, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. We're right here in Waretown, New Jersey for so many years. I got in the business in 1982, licensed in 83. And presidential elections, well, they've been going around for a long time. In my case, my voting from Reagan to Bush to Clinton to Bush to Obama to Trump, and now to our President Biden. We've gone through a lot. I've been through the cycles. So if you have a question, 609-488-4646, maybe just one other opinion. No harm, no foul, and I will not beg or bug you to do business. I can promise you that, but you will love visiting with us. I can tell you that.
Absolutely. As we are in a presidential election year, we're talking about how the election could affect your finances and particularly the stock market. Interesting note here. One good thing is the U.S. economy has continued to grow over the last century, regardless of which side has the aisle for the presidential seat. So, not that it doesn't matter, but just saying the economy has been good last 100 years, regardless of who is in there. And the last question here for you, Scott, and really just kind of like a thought is, there's lots of emotions that exist around elections. And we know emotion and finances, sometimes they don't match up. So what advice do you have for folks, when it comes to making a financial decision in a year like this during an election year?
A cool head, patience. Look at the stats. You think in a Republican period of time from 1928 to 2016, Republicans were ahead by 15%, 0.3 on the average return. Democrats were 7.6. Doesn't mean Democrats can't do good. Look at Clinton. And so over election years, over those election years, averaging 11%. So if you can stay in the race and you can continue and you don't look at your portfolio every single day, then you're not going to get as much Pepto-Bismol and of course, maybe Prilosec or other types of medications. You'll be off of that. And if you are watching the TV and the ticker tape and everything else, well, that could affect you. So be very cautiously, but understand the purpose of your money threefold. One could be cash for immediate needs. One could be for dividends and interest to take care of your required minimum distributions. I want to live off the dividends and interest, not burn my principal. And then I want to have growth. I want to grow some money because I got to keep up with inflation. This is how you kind of look at it. We call it the 3D effect. I don't know if you remember that, Alex. The 3D is so important when people look at your portfolio is the dreams, the dollars, and then, of course, passing it on the dynasty. And this is so important to look at the whole thing. That's why we have the lawyers and tax accountants here and, of course, the financial planners at our firm to help you make a smart decision. Give us a call, 609-488-4646. If you've got questions, I've got answers. But I look forward to hearing from anybody, Alex, 609-488-4646.
Yes, give Scott a call. His team at McLean Advisory Group, eager to help. And thank you so much for this information as we're talking about the election. This is Financial Insanity, out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly does not. With near record inflation and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will America's future look like? What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? For more than 40 years here in the Jersey Shore area, Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group have seen uncertainty come and go. No matter what the future holds, Scott can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 609-488-4646 now to meet with Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group. If uncertainty is causing you to feel insecure, Scott McLean might be able to help. Call 609-488-4646 and schedule your visit today. Again, that's 609-488-4646. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Can we really live the go-go years, or am I going to scrimp and save and stay at home and watch TV, watch Bob Barker? I don't know.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
You know how much income you'll need in retirement? There isn't one number that's right for everyone. Income needs in retirement are unique to each person or couple, and there are some questions, though, that can help you plan for retirement. We're going to go through those today. Thank you so much for joining us right here on Financial Insanity. I'm Alex Dingman alongside advisor Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. And Scott, we got 6 questions to go through, so let's just jump into it, my friend. The first essential question to ask as you're looking to think, how much income am I going to need in retirement? The first question, well, what are you spending right now? We got to know what that answer is, right, Scott?
It's amazing. I just had a meeting with a lovely couple, and we're doing their planning. And the wife, she does the books, and the husband came in for the first time. I met her a couple times, and I said, look, for us to move forward, I've got to speak to your husband. I love meeting with spouses because I got to make sure we're all on the same page. And I said, by the way, what are you spending right now? Same question you just asked. What is your monthly outflow? What are you getting on your checkbook? What are you actually getting on income? What are you spending? And she looked at me because I caught her off guard. She goes, wow, you're catching me off guard. I said, yeah, but this number should be in the back of your mind somewhere because you guys are about to retire and you both have juicy pensions. My question when I see you guys or see people, Alex, is how much are you spending right now? And she goes, started adding up line by line by line what she's spending. The challenge is when she's spending that much money, when they spend that much money, what does your retirement look like is the question I ask. In other words, are we going on a trip? Are we traveling by plane, train, boat? Maybe you have an RV. We have to calculate those numbers. But the first number, what are we spending right now before we retire? And as we're in retirement, the question is, will that number stay the same? When will the mortgage be off? So Alex, this is a very critical number. And she said, Scott, I really don't know. I said, before we do anything, before we move any money around, before we move anything, your investments and your choices, I like to know this first to find out, do we have enough emergency fund? Do we have enough income? And if your lights go dim, you go in the nursing home, what's our backup plan? And this is important. What are we spending now? Good way to start that, Alex, because a lot of people don't know that number. You should have that number in your mind.
Yep.
And the goal is to beat it. Can I save money or do I need more money?
Yep. Much like, you go to the doctor to face reality when it comes to your health, it's much like needing to go to an advisor to really get a reality check when it comes to your finances. And so this is where you just got to be real, you got to be honest, and Scott can have this conversation as we're going over the essential questions to ask when determining how much income a person's going to need in retirement. And the second question here, Scott, is how will your spending change in retirement? For instance, do you dream of traveling, plan to move out of the state? There's a lot of different things you could spend money on, obviously.
There's a lot of things
I can think of a few.
Yeah, you might be eating out more money. And, of course, we have inflation that'll evaporate your wallet quickly. Maybe your dreams and goals of traveling. What kind of, like I just said, maybe you have an RV. Do we figure out the cost of gas? Could it be going up? Maybe you're thinking about moving or selling a house. These are critical questions. We just spoke to a person last week. They have two beautiful properties, one here in New Jersey and one in Pennsylvania, the beautiful Poconos. They have a nice capital gain of around $200,000 capital gain. And if they sold it, which they were thinking about, I said, well, did you plan on the taxes on the capital gain? And they said, well, no, we're going to pay taxes. I said, yeah, let's just figure this out. We kind of figured out. But if they put the money into a specialized REIT, real estate investment trust, and you have A, liquidity so you can pull out the principal, but B, pay no taxes, well, you should have seen their eyes light up. These are some strategies that are out there. Now, if you're going to start to travel and what does your retirement look like? How much you think you're going to spend? Again, it's a guesstimate. But in the early years of retirement, Alex, it's called the go-go years. Maybe the first 10 years, you're really going to be blowing and going. You're going to have some fun. And I can tell you, you're going to spend more money than you thought. But keeping your eye on that budget. No one likes the cuss word, the B cuss word budget. But if we're keeping our eye on the cuss word budget, we know what we're spending, which is the first question you asked. We know what we need to stay around. This could help you. Or maybe some of you are thinking, well, if my mom and dad pass away, I have extra money. Well, don't look at them as your sugar daddy, even though they might be. But again, this could be put in your plan. But again, you don't want to bank on it. And everybody says that. But, sometimes people say one thing, but in their heart, they're thinking another. Let's talk about spending. How much are we going to spend? What is our retirement? Can we really live the go-go years, Lord willing, healthy, enjoyable? Or am I going to scrimp and save and stay at home and watch TV, watch Bob Barker? I don't know.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Scott McLean, McLean Advisory Group. This is Financial Insanity. It's out-of-the-box thinking for your financial sanity. And the number 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. 888-848-4646, asking the essential questions today when determining if you're going to have enough income in retirement. That was a great point about, well, things are going to be getting more expensive in the future. You do have to account for that always. But a third question to ask here, Scott, family issues affecting your spending. A lot of different possibilities here, but a lot of things, good and bad, can happen with family when it comes to your money.
Let's talk about those lovely parents who have special needs kids. This could affect your spending. This could affect the quality of life. This could affect, are you bringing your son or your daughter on the trip with you? So we hope you can. This is a very touchy point, but it's a point people need to be aware of. What is that cost going to be? Because you want to enjoy your family as best as possible. Do we have someone take care of them as my wife and I or my husband and I go out? My partner and I go out and travel. Who can take care of my children in that area? Or let's not only talk about children, Alex, but about those of you that are actually taking care of your mom and dad.
Yep.
Or a dog or a cat. And that is part of your spending. These little things do add up. How will that affect your spending habits? And of course, can you bring them with you? Can't you bring them with you? Or is it possible or impossible?
Mm-hmm.
Spending. When you think about spending on top of that, Alex, in the first years, you got the go-go years. Do we have enough money to keep lasting? Will it last a long time? I'd like people remember the rule of four. The rule of four. We'll go over that in a minute, Alex, I think. But the rule of four is simply take a certain amount of money and do I need an extra, let's say, $1,000 a month? If you want an extra $1,000 a month with the rule of four, 1,000 times 12 obviously is $12,000. The rule of four is if I have money in a 4% account, well, that means you have $300,000 if you're just living on the interest. So we spoke about this earlier in this segment. Do I need to reallocate my portfolio for income, not growth, for income? So on the first of the month, I know there's going to be a check in the checkbook. I know the money is going to show up in the mailbox or in my checkbook, I should say, and I know it's going to be there. So the rule of four would be a basic thing, even though interest rates are very yummy right now. But I can tell you, if you listen to our last segment, if those lucky enough to listen to our last segment, if you didn't, you can go online and listen to it, of other different areas to get money at a nice 4 or 5%. Nice savings account. So again, how are we spending money? Where are we spending on it? What's the left hook? Another area of family, Alex, I forgot to bring up was your children. Some of you out there may have a child that keeps asking for money.
What?
And
that never happens.
Hey, Dad, Mom, I'm a little bit lean on my mortgage. Can you help me? Well, I'm not going to tell you to help them or not help them, but this affects. Mm-hmm. Hey, Mom and Dad, my son needs, your grandson that's a great ball player, he needs new shoes and a baseball bat. I was talking to my daughter. These stinking bats cost like $400, these fancy bats for these little rat kids. I'm like, holy crap. Yeah. I used a wooden bat. Now they got these fancy bats.
Oh, don't go back in my day on them, Scott. Come on. Don't go there.
So we kids can actually use their beautiful little eyes and start to pull money out of your wallet. Are you subject? Are you enabling them or disabling them? Remember, this retirement is your retirement. This is the go-go years. The first 10 years of retirement usually is the go-go years.
Yep.
And then you go into the slow-go years. You're not pulling out as much. But again, do you have enough nerve to say to the kids, no, this is for Mom and I, or my partner and I, my beautiful lady friend, my boyfriend, whatever. Is this enough? And I can't keep helping you out here. The cuss word is 2 letters. It's no. But I know a lot of people have a hard time. By the way, I have a hard time. I love helping my kids if I can help them.
Sure.
But if I know they're doing the wrong with the money, they're not getting a daggum penny. So again, know how to say no. You got a lot of people with big hearts out there that are willing to give up money.
Yep.
At them. This is a tragedy.
And it's one of those things, too. We can ask all the questions, but one of the points is that there's going to be things that you cannot predict. that happen in retirement. And so you have to have money set aside. As we talk about family, maybe your son or daughter goes through a divorce and that leaves them in a different financial situation. And now you're kind of stepping in to maybe let a son or daughter live with you, or maybe you're helping them with rent or with needs for children, or, there's so many unpredictable things. So I think that's just a good point, Scott, is that we can ask all these questions, which we need to ask, and we're going to go over them today. But there's also just those things that you cannot predict. And so you have to try to protect yourself with that kind of stuff as well. And Scott, we just have a couple minutes left here of this segment, but I think just drive the point home that you also know what questions there are to ask of someone that maybe people don't even know when they're thinking about figuring out how much income they're going to need in retirement. You know what to ask.
Alex, when I look at the 3D approach, the dollars, how much they have, the dreams, desires, and the legacy, by looking at the tax return along with the estate planning, and then finding out where you want to go. What does your retirement look like to you? How do you want it? I really want a wonderful retirement. I want to really enjoy life. How does that set up? And these are questions that need to be asked, not once, Alex, but probably several times throughout 3, 4, 5 years. Maybe every year you review these questions and you change the game plan if you have to. Because if you don't change the game plan, you find out you're burning more cash. As I spoke to a woman just yesterday, she's helping the kids out to help up start their own store. I said, you need to stop this or you're going to be out of money. And remember, he said, you don't want to be the cat woman eating cat food? This could be you. Call my office, 609-488-4646. Scott McLean, I will help you. I'll guide you. No cost, no obligation. 609-488-4646. I'd love to help you.
3 more questions to ask when figuring out if you'll have enough income in retirement. On the other side, this is Financial Insanity.
It's nice when you get everything on your list in one place, isn't it? Scott McLean from McLean Advisory Group agrees. That's why he offers comprehensive retirement planning all under one roof. You shouldn't have to go one place for tax planning, another for estate planning, and another for retirement income planning. That's why McLean Advisory Group was started. Scott wanted to build a company that could help families with all aspects of their retirement planning. McLean Advisory Group is more than just convenient. They're knowledgeable and experienced. And for answers for your questions, you can set up a meeting with Scott and his team to talk about your retirement. 609-488-4646. That's 609-488-4646. Use the same number to reach the team online. 609-488-4646.com. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax or legal advice.
Put your positive hat on. Let's have a come to Jesus meeting. Let's have a real live discussion. Let's get somewhere and put a game plan together.
We made it back. This is Financial Insanity with Scott McLean, presented by McLean Advisory Group.
We are asking some essential questions today to help you determine how much income you're going to need in retirement. Last segment, we asked, how much are you spending right now? How will your spending change in retirement? And how will family issues affect your spending? Scott, the fourth question today, will your taxes be higher or lower in retirement? I think I know the answer.
Well, it's not a set answer. I would think everybody think would be lower. You're correct, Docs. But let's assume you're a teacher and your spouse is medical, and you have a 401k and a 403b. You have a pension, and so you do a rollover. You roll over your money. Government allows you to move your money out of the company's plan. And because you'll do that wonderful rollover, we've protected that money. And you're not 73 for the requirement of distribution. Usually when you retire, it's lower. But if let's say your spouse is getting $5,000 a month in pension and you're getting $5,000 a month in pension, well, that's all ordinary income. It could be higher than what you thought because you thought it would go down. Then you turn on Social Security maybe too early. Maybe you should take money from a non-qualified account, let's say a checking account, savings account, money market account, a CD. Maybe you should take it from other different accounts than an IRA account. Why? Because the higher the marginal tax bracket is, the more you're going to have to pay at tax time. So you thought, no, I wasn't going to pay that much money in tax. You find out, wow, went from 15% to 13. Not a very big savings. So again, this is why the advisor that you're working with needs to look at the tax returns on a yearly basis to see how has your circumstance changed. Now, in retrospect, if you're living on Social Security and you're pulling a little bit of money out of your accounts, your IRA accounts, frankly, you could have a tax-free tax return, and now you're paying zero in tax. And for those people that actually invested money into some unique insurance type of products that you can pull out money tax-free and still have the estate if you pass away, you may have a tax-free retirement. On top of planning session says maybe you've been putting away money into a Roth IRA. Now you're pulling money out of the Roth IRA. You're pulling out of the money out of the non-qualified money. You're pulling out of money from Social Security, and then you turn on your pension, or you don't. Again, looking at that tax return could be, hopefully you're living at a lower taxable income, but the marginal tax bracket, and as the advisor looks at the tax returns on an annual basis, which is why our firm started the tax practice in 2008, Alex. We actually do taxes for our financial clients. We charge them a lot of money. It's $125, Alex, for a full tax return, unless they have some other fancy stuff like the real estate and stuff. But basically, the tax return is $125 because I want to know, they don't have to do tax with us, what's going on. It gives us heads up, hey, something changed. But another thing that can change for those of you out there, what if someone dies and you inherit money? Now you have to pull out money from the inheritable money. And the new law says, 2020, you got to take it out within a 10-year period. It's called a stretch. You can stretch it over the 10 years. Take it all out now. Take a little bit out. Should you convert it to a Roth? And these are great questions. Again, someone dies. When we get these questions all the time, Alex, when people call us at our studios, and they say, well, Scott, I just lost my mom and she passed away. I received her an inheritance and a lot of it's IRA money. How do we handle it? Please come in. Give us a call at our studios, because taking too much out could really affect a no taxable retirement to a huge taxable retirement. And this is why you need to really analyze and kind of really view each person individually. This is not a cookie cutter deal, Alex. This is not So yes, in the beginning, should your tax be low retirement? Yes, we all think that, but don't think too deeply. You need to really dive into the depths of how you're pulling money out, where you're pulling money out, and then just for those of you out there, could you have phantom tax? Phantom tax is an unknown tax. So when the stock market drops and you have non-qualified money in the stock market, let's say you have mutual funds in Vanguard, T. Rowe Price, maybe you have Scudder, and they make a profit within the stock market portfolio that dropped, you could pay tax on long-term capital gains. You scratch your head, how could I pay tax when my account went down 30%? Well, that's called phantom tax. So this is why it's really important as you do your 3D approach to planning. You look at the dollars, the dreams, and then of course, your dynasty. How does it pass on so the kids don't get whacked as much in taxes? This is important, Alex. This is a lost art in our field.
Absolutely. As we're asking some essential questions today, helping people determine how much income they're going to need in retirement. And we just had a question there about taxes. We have two more questions left. Here's another one. How could inflation, Scott, impact your retirement assets?
Well, that's easy. I think everybody knows that. If your portfolio did 10%, if you're lucky, and inflation is 8%, your real return is 2%. So when you look at that, look at the cost of eggs and bacon and cereal and toilet paper. Things are gone up. It's been rapidly going. We've never seen such a rapid increase. Alex, you're seeing this, I guess, for the first time in your life. But for us older people who have been through this, this is really the most exponential, rapid inflation we've ever seen over the past 18 to 20 months. And so when we look at the impact, we're going to go out and get a little cocktail beverage, adult meal and drink, and we find out we're not paying $55, we're paying $100. That could affect how much time you can go out. Maybe you need to go to Happy Meal and cut it in half and split the Happy Meal versus because inflation is so out of control. Maybe it's going to affect the way you retire. This is why we spoke earlier today, Alex, or at one of our other times we got together about planning for retirement and how much should you set aside and the rule of 4 and how does that work? If you have questions out there, guys, and you're facing this, these are very basic questions, but when they hits home, it's not basic. It becomes real. Basic is 1 + 1 is 2. But real, how does it affect you? 609-488-4646. If you have a question, and I'm sure I'll be able to answer for you. If I don't, I guarantee I'll find the answer for you the best I can. Give our studios a call. Ask for Bonnie. When you ask for Bonnie, 609-488-4646, she'll set a time we can meet together. I am very busy. It is a wonderful time of year. I am thankful that you're listening. But I'm not thankful if you've got questions you don't call us because you're putting your desires and your dreams aside because I'm here to help you. Hopefully like your answer man when it comes to money. Don't put that aside. Don't delay. And of course, procrastination is the mother of disaster. Don't put it away. Love to hear from you. Alex?
Yes, 609-488-4646 is that number. We have one final question. So to recap, as we're going through the essential questions to ask when determining how much income you're going to need in retirement, we have 6 of them. The first one, how much are you spending right now? The second question is, how will your spending change in retirement? Third question, will family issues affect your spending? Then we asked, will your taxes be higher or lower in retirement? How could inflation impact your assets? And the final question today, and we all know the answer to this one, and I'm saying that tongue-in-cheek. How long will you live? But we do have to consider this, Scott. People are living longer.
That's that's between you and the Lord. The Lord we all have a clock. I don't know what my clock says, but if I look at my mom and dad, Daddy died at 74. Mama died at 75. My clock, if I go by them, is longer. Then I look at Grandma and Grandpa's clock, and they lived to 84 and 86. I hope I have their clock. We don't know. But will your money outlive you, or will you outlive your money? And this determines on all those wonderful questions you asked, Alex, because it leads into how do I plan for my retirement so I have a steady stream of income? Inflation, not inflation, a low rate of return, stock market collapse, we go to a war. There is lots of questions. And in your final questions, we talk about how much income you need in retirement and how long will you live. Well, how much need for income retirement, that goes to your budget is the first phase. Then it goes to your dreams. How do you want to travel the next 10 years, or what do you want to do? What kind of fun do you want to do? Maybe you want to stay around the house, put a wedding on for your son or your daughter. Maybe you take care of your special needs child and have a wonderful life and spend time with them. Or maybe your husband or wife, lights are going dim. How do we enjoy this process the best way possible? How can we be thankful in everything and everything give thanks? We talked about that because Thanksgiving time, but we think about all of these areas. How much income is needed? This is a great, great formula of the rule of 4. Then, of course, it goes on the rule of 4. If you don't know the rule of 4, give our studios a call, 609-488-4646. Let me guide you the rule of 4 and how it fits into your portfolio. But then how long do you plan on living? Well, I don't know that answer. I'm not the maker and the creator. I do believe in the maker and creator. The question is, I didn't make or create you, so I don't know. But what I do know is, do we have enough so we don't outlive our retirement? As that one woman I spoke to, she doesn't want to live on cat food, although it may be more nutritious. I don't know. but
well,
the question is going to
pet
be
food they make nowadays. It's hard to distinguish anymore what's human and what's.
Yeah. I agree.
It's wild.
That's you out there. You know what? These questions we brought in today are real. I hear them often, and it's so normal to get these questions, but everybody isn't the same. This is not cookie cutter solutions for anybody I meet. Each person is so individual. Perhaps you're going through a divorce, game plan change. Perhaps your spouse or your partner died, game plan change. Maybe they chose the pension option. Option means if you die, the pension goes away. Game plan change. Wouldn't that be better to know that now than later? Wouldn't that be know that if you have a good long lifeline, like some of my friends, their parents died at 75, like me, or those of you who are really blessed, their parents died at 90 or 100. You know what? This is a good indicator how you should really plan. It's not the all set it and forget it, but this is what you discuss every year. And this is why we talk to people about their dreams, their dollars, and their dynasty on how it fits within the taxes, the legacy, your will, power of attorney, living will. Should you hide your assets into a trust? Again, what is the impact on your retirement? What's the impact on the money that you leave behind and how they be taxed? This is important, Alex. That's why you talk about the 3D planning.
Yep. I love it. Yep. Again, that number 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. You are listening to Financial Insanity, out of the box thinking for your financial sanity. We're going to have some more fun. We are going back in time. Stay with me.
Whoa.
Who likes uncertainty? Wall Street certainly does not. With near record inflation and partisan politics, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. What will America's future look like? What will your future look like? Will your taxes go up? Will your savings go down? For more than 40 years here in the Jersey Shore area, Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group have seen uncertainty come and go. No matter what the future holds, Scott can help you create a plan designed to preserve your finances in uncertain times. And it's not a matter of if those uncertain times will show up, but when. Call 609-488-4646 now to meet with Scott McLean and the team at McLean Advisory Group. If uncertainty is causing you to feel insecure, Scott McLean might be able to help. Call 609-488-4646 and schedule your visit today. Again, that's 609-488-4646. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide, no escape from reality. Open your eyes, look up to the skies and see. I'm just a poor boy.
Man, that is just, it hits every single time, Scott. Never gets
Anywhere
old
the
there.
wind blows, doesn't really matter.
We all know that one from Queen, taking us back in time, 1975, as we're in the time machine today, Financial Insanity. I'm Alex Dingman along with Scott McLean. The number 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. But back in 1975, Scott, the number one song was actually Love Will Keep Us Together, Captain Antonil. But Queen did record Bohemian Rhapsody back 1975. Saturday Night Live debuted on NBC. VCRs developed in Japan. You got younger people, VCR, what is that? President Gerald Ford escapes 2 assassination attempts in 17 days. Back in 1975. And the top grossing movies, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Jaws as well.
Amazing.
And so
Amazing.
Pretty freaking cool. And Scott, also financially back in 1975, gas, 57 cents a gallon, stamp, 10 cents, a home, a little over 42 grand, a dozen eggs, 77 cents, gallon of milk, $1.57. So a little bit different world. What can we learn from some of these numbers here, Scott?
No, all of us love the music. All of us can bring us right back to where we were when you played Queen's music, Bohemian Rhapsody. We can all relate to those things. I remember those of you listening to us right now, Alex has no idea what odd even day means when it comes to getting gas. I remember switching out because I wanted to have my drug of choice, which was water skiing. That was my drug of choice. I had to be in the water, and of course, the boat requires gas, and I had to do what I had to do to make it work. So I took the plates off of one car that had the boat, and we towed the boat, put it on the boat trailer, and of course, put it on the car. Actually, not the boat trailer, and I got the boat filled up. I made it happen. When we think about the cost of living and the worries, the housing costs, the healthcare expenses, the education for the grandkids, or maybe some of you are now ripping your kids out of school and homeschooling them as this woke environment is destroying, or this just tremendous things have changed today. Think about the income stagnation, the cost of living going way up. Wages have kind of gone up, and when I can tell you, when I hire people, I see a lot of Rolls Royce resumes, but when they show up, they look like Yugos. And I'm not saying everybody, but I can tell you they're trying to pontificate, make themselves look so good. Things haven't changed back then to now, except we're living a lot longer, Alex. Will our money live a lot longer? Will we worry about running out of money or running out of life? And the biggest concern was the fear of death, but it's no longer the fear of death. It's the fear of running out of money. And so really paying attention to, I think we did a show together, Alex, about one of the key areas, Alex, is where many people don't like doing it. You're coming off of a fat income, then you decide to retire. You're making, let's say, $100,000, but now your Social Security and your pension maybe is only $5,000 or $6,000, a far cry from $100,000 income. The demon in the room is the brain. How are we going to get through it? Are we going to do something about it? That's the demon. You're not taking advantage, putting off what you can do today. That is a cuss word. When my dad always yelled at me, he said, "Take action, son." You think about those days when you bought the 57 cents a gallon, or you think about the hamburgers that were cheap. A gallon of milk, $1.57, and a dozen eggs, 77 cents. I could go to my next door neighbor. I'm out here at Southampton, and of course, you buy a dozen eggs at $5. Well, are we watching our money? You might have a lot of money and think, I got $1 million. Well, great. Will that last? I don't know. Invested correctly, for investing for income that will last the rest of your life. There's several products that could be very helpful to those of you listening. And for others of you say, well, I got plenty of money, I'm going to be fine. Well, let me tell you another demon that shows up, the demon of healthcare. And unfortunately, the demon of healthcare is long-term care expenses, either staying in your home or going to a facility. Or maybe you got to now take care of your mom and dad. Those of you taking care of your mom and dad. If you are veterans, we have a veteran program coming up one day. I know, Alex, we're going to put something together about the veterans benefit and long-term care that could be possibly free. So how do you do it? Maybe you should change your estate and look at maybe a special type of trust to prevent it from the crows and the clowns who want to grab your money. And so these are great, great shows we'll be doing in the future, as we've done a couple before, Alex. But I want you guys to be aware, Alex, your question is very, very powerful. Things have changed a lot. We're living a lot longer than the older days, I should say. And then, of course, in living a lot longer, hopefully we're healthy a lot longer, because there's nothing worse than dementia, Alzheimer's, and we're living like President Reagan. For how long was he sitting in a wheelchair? And then, of course, the lights were on, but no one was home. So I don't know if you guys have planned for that, thought about that. I mean, we all want an enjoyable retirement. If you're listening to me right now and you have questions about that, please feel free to give our studios a call, 609-488-4646. If you've got something on your mind and you would like me to get back with you, please call my office. Ask anytime you want. No cost, no obligation. Ask for Bonnie. She'll stick you in the schedule. We are very busy, but I'll try to get back with you as rapidly as possible. If it's a quick question, give her your email, and that number you would call to ask your questions, and I'd love to help you, 609-488-4646. 4646, because I know you're telling people about us. I know that we're getting so many people referring their friends and relatives and people that they just met. Hey, why don't you go meet with McLean? It's no pressure, no harm, no foul. They're not going to ask you for a check. That's our process in our financial planning process, as we do a confidential financial intake form to really understand your situation. And this is why, Alex, you and I have been doing radio shows for so long, and while we've been doing educational work shows. If you've listened to me for how many years now, some of you 12, 13 years, 14 years, I haven't sold one daggum thing except selling. Nope. Giving information to help you make sound decisions for retirement. So if you have questions, please feel free to give us a call, 609-488-4646. Speak to Bonnie. Give us your email address. We'll answer you by email, or we'll call you on the phone, Alex. I don't know if that answers the question, but times have changed, and they're changing even faster now as technology. So we've got to keep up with this technology. Yeah. It's so exciting, but it's also scary.
Absolutely. As we're looking back to 1975 today on the show, inflation rate 1975 was around 14%. As we're looking in the world of retirement planning and some numbers from that time, life expectancy in the U.S., 76.6 for women, but just 68 for men. Average monthly Social Security check back in 1975, $196. And the automatic annual cost of living adjustments, COLAs, and Social Security started in 1975. And Scott, a lot of people maybe were beginning their careers back in 1975. Maybe they're approaching the end of their careers now, starting retirement.
You're talking about me, Alex. Calm down.
Probably resonating with a lot of folks is all I'm saying, is that this content is definitely right for those people. You're speaking right to them, Scott. But those numbers there, probably no surprise to folks, obviously, have been living through that. But, you always have to learn from the past, and that's something, Scott. You have that time. You've been around. You've seen this. You've seen what the market can do, what the world can do, and what people do with their finances. The psychology is a very important aspect, huge as well, Scott. And that's something that all the education in the world isn't going to replace that kind of experience. And you've been in front of folks now for a long time, and it's one of those things where things are different, but things are the same, right? I mean, as far as a lot of things, what people want, they want to be happy, and they want to be comfortable. And now it's just looking at that happiness and that comfortability and saying, all right, well, it's going to be a little bit longer than maybe the grandparents and the parents had, just because we're living longer.
Live a lot longer, and I can tell you that life is exciting if you make it exciting. And then, of course, life gets scary. The things you used to do, you get really mad because you can't do them anymore. It's almost like taking the keys away from Grandpop, and Grandpop throws a fit. And I think many of you understand this when perhaps did it to your mom and dad, because you're taking their, quote, independence away. Things change, and it's so sad. We revert back to the mean, where we popped out of mom and can't drive anymore. Well, now we can't drive anymore. We're older. This is amazing. And when you are fighting to get ahead, the question is going to be, is our money dwindling away? Is our money in the right place? Do we need to make some changes? Do we need to fix our will, power of attorney, living will? Do we need to pay attention to our tax return? How can we prevent our house, our assets from going to the nursing home to stay home to your family? This is why you look at the areas. When I wrote the book, Alex, few years ago, The Three Blind Mice, how the financial planning process, that's right, the financial planning process leads your money to a mousetrap. So again, as you talked about this segment here, Alex, we're living a lot longer. These are the demons out there that are not paying attention, and we want to pay attention to you. Hey, by the way, if you want to give us a call, please feel free to call my office. I know Alex usually bring this up, but I personally ask you, if you have a question, it's on your heart, call anytime you want, 609-488-4646. Obviously, we have an answering at our studio here. You can leave a message for you. Bonnie picks it up. And if you want us to reply or get with email, or if you'd like to get our email information, we'll be very happy to get all that information to you no cost, and we're not going to try to beg or bug. If you decide you want to come in for have a quick powwow, we'll do that over the phone first and discuss some issues and see if we can help you. So 609-488-4646. Alex, I'm not sure if I answered your question. Good,
No, absolutely.
the best way possible, but Jaws is still out there looming.
Yes, it's still underneath. Even if you can't see it, it is still there. Yes, great show from 1975. It was fun to go back in time with you, Scott. And
Thanks, buddy.
That will do it for this week's program. Thank you, as always, for listening. Send in any questions, comments. The number 609-488-4646, 609-488-4646. Just add a .com for the website, but Scott and his team eagerly waiting and hoping that they can assist you and your family. Thank you again for listening to Financial Insanity with Scott McLean.
This radio program may contain information which has gone regulatory or other significant changes since its original recording. The information and views expressed on today's show is educational in nature and is not intended to be a recommendation for any specific investment, product, strategy, plan, tax, or legal advice. Information presented is believed to be factual and up to date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy. Investment advisory services offered through Sound Income Strategies, LLC, a SEC-registered investment advisory firm. McLean Advisory Group and Sound Income Strategies, LLC, are not associated entities.
This radio show is a paid placement.